Hi everyone, and welcome to Teacher-Parent Communication as part of GEM's Awareness Day with TELLAL Institute. My name is Justine and I'm going to be taking you through this presentation today. And I also have a colleague with me, Vishal Bhatia from GEM's Education, who will speak a little bit later on. As we go through this presentation, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to raise, please do put them in the live chat box. We do have members of our team monitoring that chat box, and they will be responding to as many of your questions and comments as they can throughout the presentation. If, however, there is anything that we don't answer throughout the presentation and you really do want to know more, please get in touch with us. You can go to our website, www.tellalinstitute.com, and you can also email us using info@tellalinstitute.com. Okay, so let's get started. TELLAL Institute is a company based here in the Middle East, and we provide professional learning and development opportunities for teachers and leaders in schools. We are essentially the strategic training arm of GEM's Education. We deliver both qualifying and certifying programs for the Middle East region, and we also service all of the GEM schools here in the UAE. So TELLAL actually stands for Teacher Learning and Leadership for All, and we're really truly passionate about improving the quality of teaching and leadership in schools. As a dual language institute, we design and develop both face-to-face and virtual programs in English and in Arabic to train and develop teachers and school leaders to an international standard, helping them to meet the growing global demand for quality learning and leadership in schools. At TELLAL, we believe in a capacity building approach, which means that our programs and trainings will equip you with the necessary skills, not only to thrive as an educator, but also to support others in their development too. We also have a uniquely close and collaborative partnership with your schools, which means that the learning is personalized and we give you the opportunity and confidence to take your learning forward into your personal professional context. During the COVID-19 pandemic and all of the school closures, we worked really hard to transition a lot of our provision totally online, which means that whether you're in a school or whether you're teaching remotely over the next academic year, you will have the opportunity to grow and develop professionally. Most of our programs are school situated too, which means that you'll be able to directly apply what you're learning into your teaching practice, making it personally meaningful and relevant for you. We do have a wide range of programs on offer, so if you want to know more, please visit our website, www.tellalinstitute.com, and you can also speak with the PLDL leader at your school who will be able to help you select and register for a program if there's something that's interesting to you. Today's session is going to raise your awareness of the factors which positively or negatively impact your communication with parents as teachers, not only in a UAE context, but in the wider context of being and living in the Middle East. Research shows that effective parent engagement and the creation of partnerships leads to improved academic success for students, their decreased attrition and absenteeism, as well as both parental and teacher satisfaction and happiness, okay? So we all essentially know, and the research backs up this over and over again, that effective home-to-school partnerships are absolutely key and critically linked with improved educational outcomes of students. Things like students' attitudes about learning. And as a teacher, we all know we want those to be positive. Students' confidence, their motivation, their social skills, and classroom behaviors, all of those are really key pillars of a functioning classroom. So it's really important that we gain those things and we do those through parent-teacher engagement. Parent-teacher engagement also affects the nature of support students receive at home and at school. So this also influences how and when parents are engaged in the schooling, and their engagement in schooling actually, or parent engagement in children's schooling actually has a direct impact to their academic achievement. And this has also been shown over and over again in research. Students' attainment and their completion of further study. So students that have parents that are engaged in school are actually more likely to graduate from high school, move on to tertiary education, and also graduate from tertiary education. So when we look at the research, just a really quick glance, there are lots of different pieces of evidence that really back up that parent-teacher partnerships and that ability for parents to really engage with their children at school is really, really important, and it does make a difference to their learning, and it does make a difference to your experiences as a teacher as well. So when we look at parent-teacher and parent engagement, there is actually a bit of a difference here between involvement and engagement. Often we use those terms interchangeably, but they're not quite the same thing. So parental involvement is when parents participate in school events or activities and teachers provide learning resources or information to parents. This might be something that you are relatively used to doing and seeing in schools. You'll have your parents attend parent-teacher interviews, or they might come and join the school for some sort of activity day. And as a teacher, you're required to provide learning resources or homework or additional information to parents about how their students are doing. There's nothing wrong with this type of level of involvement, but if we want really truly transformative parent-teacher engagement, we need to take it a little bit of a step further. Okay, when we look at involvement, teachers hold the primary responsibility to set educational goals for students. Okay, and parents are not seen as partners, they're seen more as advisors, and teachers help guide the academic support of the child. So again, all great things, but we can actually take it a step further. And that's where engagement comes in. So parental engagement is where teachers and parents share responsibility to help students learn and meet educational goals. Parents and teachers are working together, and I've highlighted some key words there. They co-create learning solutions, and they develop learning resources to help students achieve success. There's something there about that working together, that partnership in education, and the ability for parents and teachers not to be two sides of the same coin, but the same coin altogether, working alongside one another to make sure that students achieve success. So again, all great things, but it's just kind of taking that involvement and turning it up a little bit of a notch. When it comes to fostering parent-teacher engagement though, it's a little bit more challenging. There's a little bit more nuance there. So it's all great to have parental engagement, but how do we actually achieve that? How do we do that? Now, the research shows that there are lots of different ways that takes place, and a lot of that responsibility comes from what the school does. So all of your schools, as you start this academic year, will approach this in a slightly different way. But there is something that you can do no matter what school you're in, no matter what academic year you're teaching, and no matter who your students are. There is something that every single one of you can do to enhance the parent-teacher engagement, and that is communication. Okay, so communication is considered one of the key interpersonal skills required for 21st century educators. And as an educator here in the UAE, as part of GEMS education, you are actually incredibly lucky, because you have the opportunity to learn how to develop your interpersonal skills, not just as a teacher, but as a professional. Okay, so lots of other schools, you'll get training on your pedagogy, you'll get training on your classroom practice, your classroom management. These are the sorts of skills, these communication skills are interpersonal, they're professional skills that teachers don't often get the opportunity to learn how to develop. They don't often get the professional development opportunities for really making their communication sing and make it excellent. When we look at COVID-19 and the impact of the uncertainty that has created in schools, being able to communicate well with parents, to be able to help them with the return to school anxiety, to be able to help them with the fears that they're going to encounter, all of those things, it's going to become really important that you know how to communicate those things and communicate them really well. So regardless of whether you're in your school is opening in full or whether you're using a blended approach, the frequency and the quality of your communication with your parents will be absolutely vital. So effective communication leads to two really, really important things. One of those is stronger bonds between parents, students, and teachers. If you think of it like a triangle, being able to work all together is something that is not easily done, but when it is done well, it really makes a difference. The other thing is that communication will lead to a stronger learning community. So we're not just looking at the three, student, teacher, parent, we're also looking at the greater school system and the school community. And it actually creates a learning community that collaborates and works together. So everyone is supported, everyone is cared for, and everyone is feeling engaged and happy and making a difference. And all of those elements are conducive to wonderful, wonderful learning. The challenge with communication is that the things that we think communicate don't necessarily communicate. The things that we think make effective communication don't necessarily make communication effective communication. And our concept of effective communication has changed quite a lot in the last few years. There's been a lot of research done around what that looks like. So typically we would imagine that communication looks like talking, obviously. Telling people what to do. We do a lot of that in schools. Sharing information. For example, here, I am talking at you and I am sharing information. And also telling others what's on our mind. So all of those elements, yes, they are part of communication, and yes, they do matter. But what we have learned about communication over the last few years is that effective communication requires a lot more than that. It requires things like getting on the same page as someone else, and getting on the same page, actually truly understanding and empathizing where someone else is coming from, being able to experience the same reality, and that's part of empathy as well. Being able to understand that you're both in this co-created space working together. And so it's not my perspective and your perspective, it's our perspective. And how do we come to a shared understanding of that perspective? So it's about bridging that gap between my opinion, my perspective, your perspective, and how do we come together to create a third space between us? And moving from how you see things and how I see things to how we see things, okay? So it's taking that communication idea a step further than just talking, sharing ideas and information and opinions, okay? It's a lot more about a collaboration. If you imagine, again, another triangle, it's about you, me, and us, and all of us coming together. So these are some of the pieces that we are actually going to unpack in a little bit more detail. But before we go on, I'm going to ask Vishal to come in and start talking to you, because one of the opportunities that you have as a GEMS teacher is to use a specific management system. It's called Pulse, to help you actually better document and communicate with your parents. And this is something that's going to lead towards transformative conversations and transformative parent-teacher partnerships, as opposed to boring transactional parent-teacher partnerships. So I'm going to hand over to Vishal now, and I'll come back and talk to you again in a few minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Vishal Bhatia. I am the program manager for the quality assurance program. Now we call it QAP, just obviously to make it easy to refer to. It's been an integral part of the GEMS network since its inception in September 2001, where we had 12 pilot schools driving it. And then in January, we had all 46 schools in the UAE taking it forward. The program really encourages greater parent-teacher interaction and a better understanding of family profiles, leading to happier students and parents. Yes, we know the backbone of any communication in school is teachers talking to parents on an ongoing basis. What we're trying to do with QAP is take this to the next level and really focus on these conversations. What are we deriving? What are we conveying to the parents about the progress that child is making from a teacher's perspective? And as important, encouraging parents to give that feedback and make sure they're part of the journey of their child that they're taking within the school. And it's this really collaborative spirit that truly sets us apart at GEMS Education, because it's such it's a key focus and a key KPI for all of us to build our journey and understand that insight. It's something that's very important across all schools. So it really starts and stops with all of you, the teachers. Yeah, you're the first point of contact. You're the go-to for for the parents. You're the main source of information, main port for communication. So the teachers are responsible for maintaining regular and personalized direct contact with the parents. So ongoing collaboration and communication with parents is key. And I reinforce the fact that never one way, make sure we include the parents in that conversation as well. Logging engagement in the Pulse system. So as Justine mentioned, we have a Pulse system, and this is really the step 2 of the QEP process, where we have an internal system preview to GEMS, where all these conversations that I had with parents are logged into a system. So what we're trying to do is get that information on paper as a reference point electronically, so we can refer to it if and when needed. Now, the QEP is not a performance marker in terms of good comments versus challenging comments. It purely is what we've discussed, what we've communicated with the parent, and what we've received in return needs to be documented clearly. So if required, we can act upon that challenge or that concern. Okay, so the trust factor is very important with teachers, with all of you, to make sure we record good conversations, challenging conversations, tough conversations, and obviously all the support team around the schools and at head office are there to step in and help and support when required. There are various means of communicating. Obviously, we prefer face-to-face, which has been difficult to come by in the last 4 or 5 months for obvious reasons. So a lot of schools have been using emails, which has been tremendously effective in getting that feedback. Phone calls and events obviously work as well. So it's not really the means of communication, it's just making sure we get that feedback and we're conveying those points across very clearly. Again, as Justine mentioned, we have that triangle. The focus is the child, our secondary focus is the parent, and you sit in the middle of all of that. So it's teacher, student, and parent, which is key to making those conversations revolve around, and everyone is part of that conversation on an ongoing basis. So let's just break it down for you and to keep it simple. Communication with parents. So what are we essentially saying? What are we doing well, and what can we do better for your child? Immediately, that puts you in the front foot by giving you that update every month or more often in a month if and when required. And as a second resort, what can we do better for your child? You're drawing in the parent to give that critical feedback. Okay. When used effectively, quality assurance is a powerful tool to ensure student retention because you are giving the parent a platform to be heard. Often they feel part of the journey. They feel secure in their children's education, and as a result, there's loyalty built towards the brand, GEMS Education. Yeah. By helping us build and maintain a strong and comprehensive profile of each and every GEMS student, you're also contributing to their positive and seamless GEMS journey. So this is where the magic happens, really. Building that gold dust information every month for that student really conveys across the journey he or she is taking. So when the student's going from year 4 to year 5, for example, as school starts on the new academic year, the new classroom teacher, all he or she has to do is click on the year that was and very clearly see the journey that that student has taken. And as important, also see the input and the collaboration with the parent to see what their concerns were and their questions were as well. So it's a lot of ammunition for all of you to use going forward and makes the learning for that student even more effective. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. Like I said, quality is key. We have schools who do 80% engagement in a given month, but have 30% in terms of quality. And by quality, I mean unique comments. Yeah, every input in the system against a child needs to talk about the child's journey for that month. And again, as I mentioned, get that parent feedback as well. So the words need to paint a picture effectively. Be timely and consistent. A break in that chain doesn't help the cause. Yeah, the reasons why in the PULSE system you log for the month, at the end of the month, the clocks go back to 0 and we start again. Because every month is a new month, every month is new feedback, every month is a new input. So creating that student profile and going back to this module, which Justine mentioned, is asking the right questions and getting the most out of that conversation is critical. Talk to the families who might not be enrolling, documenting the reasons. So again, everything should be on PULSE, where possible, look at the concerns the families have and try and put them to rest and rectify things. Emphasize the program on school tours and how it can tangibly benefit both parents and students. A lot of school tours happening right now. It's a great opportunity to mention the quality assurance program and the focus we have and that we make between teachers and parents and students. Lastly, focus on capturing parent feedback in real time, allowing us to intervene in a timely manner. The whole idea of QAP is we're getting live critical feedback every month and gives us the opportunity to step in and speak to parents or escalate that to another member of staff internally to calm situations, to rectify things. And at the end of the day, we have happy, satisfied families. Going forward, once you have access to PULSE, your SLTs within your school will happy to train you on the navigation on the system, and I'll be more than happy to train you as well going forward on some of the tools that can be used. Welcome to GEMS Education, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Vishal, for sharing about Pulse. As Vishal mentioned, you will have more opportunity to learn about the system, as well as how to navigate it, and as well as how your school approaches filling it in and how frequently you're required to fill it in. But it is a great tool that really does help teachers and parents and schools as a system in order to track the quality and the frequency of communication that is taking place between you and your parents and your students in that three-way conversation like Vishal mentioned. Before we finish off for today, I just want to share with you one of the other opportunities that are available to you as a GEMS teacher, and this is the QAP Teacher-Parent Communications module. So this QAP module is really focused at developing your communication skills as a teacher. And it was launched the last academic year with excellent feedback and excellent engagement. And it is something that will be available to you as a new GEMS staff member between now and December. So I'm just going to take you through just a little bit of an introduction to the module so that you know what's involved in it and what you'll learn through engaging in it. So it's an opportunity to develop your interpersonal and professional communication skills, and it is very much oriented around communication. It's broken into 4 manageable and practice embedded topics, and it's a 12-week program, okay? It is practice-based, which means that you are required and supported to transfer your learning into your teaching context. So it's not an online program that you're going to click through and then finish. It is something that you are going to engage with online as well as in your own classroom practice, and you will be required to create some professional action plans for yourself in terms of how you want to develop your communication skills and your communication styles and your communication approaches with your parents. Some of the previous participants that we've had have said, made some incredibly positive comments about the impact the module had on their professional practice. Some of them have said that they learned to recognize the features and principles of effective communications. That is a skill that is going to remain with you for the rest of your teaching career, the rest of your professional career, whether you're in teaching or not, actually. Someone else said that they learned how to communicate effectively and foster meaningful teacher-parent partnerships. And those keywords there about meaningful partnerships, not just about having high-level conversations, but about a meaningful partnership with you and your parents in your classroom. Someone else said that the module enhanced their knowledge as an educator and also allow them to do the same with their colleagues. So whatever you learn and engage with in any sort of program in TELLAL is an opportunity to share that with your colleagues and pass that knowledge on. And that's one of the premises of TELLAL, is it's very much about you creating practice and us as an organization partnering with you so that you can take that knowledge further into your organization and really help enhance the professional learning of the people that are around you. So this is what the communications module is, and the sorts of things you'll learn in the module is about leading effective meetings with parents. Now, we have conversations with parents all the time, whether that be an informal conversation at the door during pickup time, or whether it be a more formal parent-teacher meeting during the academic year. So leading those meetings with those parents can be incredibly daunting for some of us, especially if we haven't been teaching that long. And there are some very practical and very simple principles that you can apply to those conversations to make them really positive and really meaningful and really transformative, and the sorts of conversations that develop trust so that you actually have really positive interactions with your parents ongoing throughout the rest of the academic year. So the sorts of things you'll learn about is how to recognize the features and principles of effective conversations, how to, you'll develop some strategies so that you can have authentic, that's a really great key one, authentic, manageable, sustainable, and fit for purpose professional conversations that lead to positive student academic outcomes. At the end of the day, this is what we're here for. We're here to make sure that these children walk away learning something. And how do we do that? We do that through supporting conversations with their parents. Okay, so you'll learn about how you can have a conversation, whether it be academic, whether it be behavioral, with a parent or a group of parents, and really make sure that that conversation leads to really, really positive outcomes, okay? The other key focus of this module is about how to manage those more challenging conversations that you have with parents. And we've all had them, we all know how they feel, and sometimes it can be incredibly overwhelming when we don't know how to manage ourselves, as well as take a challenging conversation and lead it towards a positive outcome. So this is an incredibly important skill as an educator educator. Sometimes parents get upset, and that is okay. What's important for us as educators is to know how to manage that when they are feeling that way. So the sorts of things you'll learn about is how to manage and constructively approach challenging conversations when there is some conflict. And conflict is not necessarily a negative thing. We have conflict in our lives all the time, but when we don't deal with it well, it can be an incredibly negative experience. So how do we go about constructively and positively managing that sort of situation? And also how to develop mutually respectful and positive professional relationships with parents. So how do I take that negative or that challenge and turn it into a positive? So these are the sorts of things that we will cover in the QAP Parent-Teacher Communications module. It is a really highly engaging module, and if you want to know more about it, you're absolutely welcome to get in touch with us and we'll be able to tell you more about it. Again, you can contact us at our website, www.tellalinstitute.com, and you can also email using info@tellalinstitute.com. So big thank you to everyone. Thank you very much to Vishal as well for being with us today. Welcome to GEMS. You're on an incredibly exciting journey, and we look forward to seeing you and helping you through any of our programs in the next academic year. So best of luck to everyone. Enjoy the first part of your academic year, and we will see you soon. Thanks.